Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
You sound just like me. Let's do it again. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, where we're absolutely convinced that life is good. Life is good because we understand there's only one presence and one power, and that presence and power is in you, in me, and in everything around you. So glad you're here. We gather together to celebrate life, and so I'm glad you're here. We have practitioners anchoring our time in prayer. We appreciate them very much. We're also streaming, and so we welcome our home audience.
So today we have three readings, all of them by Ernest Holmes. Actually, they're all quotes from three different sources. The first one from The Science of Mind. There is that within every individual which partakes of the nature of the universal wholeness, and insofar as it operates, is God. And from A New Design for Living, at all times we are freely creating the life we live. The ability consciously and specifically to better our lives depends on the degree to which we are able to believe in our basic concepts of the nature of life and faith. And from The Creative Mind, the last quote from Ernest Holmes, all that we have believed in which contradicts the perfect whole must be dropped from our thoughts, and we must come to realize that we are now living in a perfect universe, peopled with perfect spiritual beings, each of which, coupled with the great divinity, is complete within himself.
Well, let's talk about my garden. Right, Mary Pat? Yeah. I got me a piece of land. First thing you got to do is get a piece of land. And then once you get your piece of land, you may have to clear the land. You may have to move some rocks, and then you're going to plow a little bit. And so now you're getting your land all ready to go. And I'm giving you the structure of the talk so you'll know, okay, he's almost finished. And so then once you get the land done, then you're going to plant your seed. And I want to talk about planting a seed today especially. And the kind of seed we're going to plant today is going to produce not one plant, but two plants. So two plants are going to come up. I'm going to tell you about those plants, and then we're done. And so that way you can kind of track where we're going. But you know, life is sort of like a garden. That's a good way to always begin a talk. Life is like a garden. Or I could say my life and your life sometimes are like gardens. And looking around, sometimes we are even like plants. I see a lot of different faces today, and probably some of you came because you were hungry for something. Maybe you were thirsty. Maybe you were looking for sunlight or looking for water or maybe looking for truth or something. Hungering and thirsting after righteousness, I think is the way Jesus said it. And so if that's why you're here, I see that happening for you today. Some are here probably because they have a divine intention to wake up and know their oneness with God. And so let's all of us know that that can happen today just in the hour that we're together. Some individuals may be here because they're seeking healing. They're seeking healing maybe in their body, in their mind, in their spirit, maybe in their emotional makeup. Sometimes life gets heavy, sometimes life gets dense, and so they may be dreaming in some way of those kinds of things dissolving in their lives so they finally feel free. And so let us all know that that can happen for them. Some of you may be here today because a partner or a mate or a friend just woke you up and drug you here with you thinking, what's happening? Where am I on a Sunday morning? But whatever reason you're here, a lot of different things are happening. Anytime we have this many people together, we have all kinds of agendas and thoughts and feelings and spiritual avenues that are opening up. Most of us have been around for a long time. I tend to believe that you probably existed before you came into this incarnation. Maybe we even chatted a bit before you arrived here. Maybe we all got together and said, let's go down there and hang out and see what can happen. And maybe we even made promises. Some people say that maybe we did. If we did, we probably made a promise, once I get there, I'm going to fill the whole world with love. Or maybe you said, I'm going to fill the whole world with joy. Or I'm going to fill the whole world with creativity. You see, in some ways, we are all sort of like little individual plants that are expressing who we happen to be. But in order to express all of that love, all of that beauty, all of that creativity, and make a difference, we really have to understand that we matter. You matter. You count for something. You are significant in the mind of God. You're significant in the mind of spirit. Doesn't matter who you are or even what age you are, you matter a great deal. And when we come together like this, it's possible for us to set a group intention so that we can matter individually and even matter as a group and as a community together. Because we can open up a spiritual vortex that's just as real as the gravity that's holding you in your seat right now. And you can feel it. It's almost like a magnetic field, and it's a field of intention. It means you set an intention, this is what my life is going to be. This is how my life is going to matter. So that means we have to let go of mediocrity, and we have to begin to move into something new, something beautiful, something powerful, something pristine. And all of us can do that because we've come into the world with that blueprint, that vision inside of us. Now, I know that sometimes during the day, things slam us. I know sometimes things will grab us and bombard us with worry. Something bombards us with something to fret about or something to complain about, and sometimes we are thrown into a vat of limitation, a vat of boredom, a vat of my life is not really counting for anything. But that's not why we came here. That's not really who you are. You came here to live life with passion. And so I want to begin, and I'm clearing away the rocks in my garden, what I'm doing, in case you're wondering, what's he talking about? So we're clearing a few of the rocks away in the beginning, and so I want you to imagine that you're capable of waking up, and let's just be wild and crazy and go ahead and set the intention and say, I'm going to wake up. Say that with me. Now say it again as if you really, really mean it. Sounded almost the same, but I know your heart was really into it. And so this causes us, if we do that and we begin to catch that vision, we begin to think there's more than what I've been living this past week, this next week can be extraordinary. If you'll begin to move in that direction, then the vibration begins to rise. Because we are, more than anything else, vibrational beings inside of a physical body. And so if you're not feeling it today, then I encourage you to harmonize it. Harmonize it. It's like Dr. Mike said in his prayer. We want to harmonize with that original pattern that is within us and make an agreement. We can make an agreement to break free from the intoxicated sleep that we've been engaged in, where we move through life saying things like, well, this is boring and this is routine and I don't feel like anything much is happening in my life. And we can move into a place where we begin to feel as if we are creating something new, something dynamic, something beautiful. And so that's what this talk is about. And that means we have to have new eyes. We have to see in a brand new kind of way. And so I proclaim to you, I announce to you that you can live life with passion. That's possible. You got to plant the right seed, and then you'll have the right plant, and one of those plants can easily be something that's igniting your life in a very passionate way. Then you'll think of life as an adventure. You'll think of life as a discovering process. So you see, do you get the feeling of that? So you're not just coasting through life thinking, well, how long is it going to be before I get to die? You're not thinking that, but you're actually enjoying every moment. You're enjoying life as it's happening. And you're not getting caught up in the old way of life. The old way of life is worry, doubt, and fear. The old way of life is practicing the worst case scenario. I did confess to the first group that I have a book called the worst case scenarios, because I sort of enjoy that. But I don't want to dwell. I don't want to dwell on the worst case scenario, and I don't. Because if we do that, we project it into our future, and it ends up taking all of our powerful energy. So we want to wake up, realize we're in the now moment, and if we will do that on a regular basis, your physical brain will actually change. And that's not some lunatic speaker saying that. That's scientifically true. Changing your thinking for a period of even 6 to 8 weeks changes your physical brain structure. And it changes your emotional set point. An emotional set point means, if you win the lottery, after a little while, you drift back down to where you were before. If you get married, you eventually drift back down to where you were before. If you get divorced, you eventually drift back down to where you were before. And so when wonderful things or anything that may not be so wonderful happens, you eventually get back to your set point of anxiety or depression or whatever it happens to be. But if you begin to practice the things we're talking about, your set point goes up. You can actually raise your emotional set point, which is really an exciting thing, because then the universe begins to match that set point. And so that's how our lives change. Are you following me so far? Okay. I've heard so many times, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. But we're also human beings having a spiritual experience. I kind of like that, because it covers, both angles. And so it's about frequency. It's about how you're feeling. And so the things I'm talking about are going to help us feel better, because there's hardly nothing more important than you feeling better. And if you are here and you can do something so you can move up just one little level, that is such fantastic news, because that means if you can move 1, you can move 2, you can move 3, you can move 4, and you can just keep going. And so you can change the entire tenor of your life. I'm going to ask you to say with me 2 or 3 statements. So take a nice deep breath. These are simple statements, not very long, brief. Number 1, I'm ready to live a passionate life. I am ready to shine. I am radiating right now. And look at the person beside you and say, do you feel it? All right. That's good. And so now we've got the ground. We've taken some of the rocks out. We've plowed the field. So let me talk about the seed. And if you can imagine a watermelon seed, all of you know what that looks like, but imagine it's a large seed. And so it's a large watermelon seed, and it has a word written on it. And the word written on the watermelon seed is attention. Attention. That's your seed. So your intention is to plant your watermelon seed of attention, because there's nothing more powerful than your attention. In the Bible, it says, there's just a single little small verse, and it says, dwell deep. And metaphysically, it means when you plant your watermelon seed, you want to plant it deep. And you don't want to dig it up after a week and say, what's happening in there? But you want to put it deep, dwell deep. And we know, again, taking it to another level metaphysically, we understand that means you want to go within yourself. You want to dwell deep. You don't want to dwell on the surface because you're going to be bored. You don't want to dwell on the surface because you're not going to have power. You find your power when you dwell deep. And that means going within. It means being an in-looker. Not an outside looker, but an in-looker. Every week we encourage people to move into a field of power. And that's not just imagination. That's not just make-believe, because there is a field of power. All of you have felt it occasionally, and you find that by dwelling where? Deep. You got to dwell deep. You must go deep within. We talk about it every week. We talk about it several times a week here. When we talk about affirmative prayer, we talk about meditation, we talk about visioning, we talk about contemplation. All of those are tools to do one thing, to help us dwell deep, to help us go within, because that is where the power is. So that means you must, I said the other Wednesday night, something like enlightenment is not a hole that you accidentally fall into. Because sometimes we think that's what it is. I'm just kind of walking along, and sooner or later, maybe I'll fall in the hole of enlightenment. But it's not that. It takes effort. It takes discipline. It takes decisions. It takes choices to do that. So that means we must make a decision to pull our attention away, because we get attached to things. We get attached to people. It always leads to suffering. It's like attaching, then we begin to feel like something is slapping us in the face, but what do? We continue to hang on. We continue to be attached, and the suffering just increases. So we don't want to be attached to anything. We don't want to be attached to anything outside of ourselves. We want to do what? Go within, dwell deep. And so we want to pull our attention away from the effects, from circumstances, and I know this is easy for me to say, and I know it's not easy to do, but we pull our attention away from circumstances. We pull ourselves away from the transitory world that's changing constantly, and we pull ourselves away from crazy thinking. Peter said something to Jesus one time. Jesus said, "Get behind me, Satan." Peter then in Greek said, "Thanks a lot." It's a good joke. That's a good joke. That's a good joke right there. And so he says, "Get behind me, Satan." And the word means adversary. So he said, "Get behind me. You're being an adversary." But in Aramaic, the word means crazy thinking, crazy thought. And so Peter presented an idea to Jesus, and he said, "That's a crazy thought. Get behind me. I don't want to even see that crazy thought. I don't want it up here on a screen. Get rid of it." Crazy thinking. All of us engage in crazy thinking. How many of you engaged in crazy thinking this morning? Honestly, come on. I mean, many of you did. And that happens to us. And a crazy thought is anything that says you're not divine. Anything that says, "Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm so powerless." Anything that demeans your divinity is a crazy thought. So when those crazy thoughts come, what do? We normally wallow in them. But now we're going to pull our attention away. We're going to spot it quickly. I think of it often as a horse. A horse is running by, and we jump on the horse. And so the horse goes by and says, "Well, I'm not a very nice person." And we jump on that horse and ride with it. And so a crazy thought goes by, represented by the horse. We jump on it, and we don't know where we're even going. But we jump on it and we ride. But, I used to jump on horses like that, and I would ride for days. The horse goes by. The horse has a big sign on it that says, "I'm kind of depressed." And I would get on it and say, "Yeah, let's go." And so you stick on the horse. But then I thought, I don't have to ride that horse for a week. I could maybe just ride it for a day. But then it dawned on me, I could even ride it for an hour. And then you begin to think, I could only jump on it for a minute. And then you even think, I don't even have to jump on it. That's how this works, because thoughts work that way. So we pull our attention away from those things and we go within. Now here's the deal. When you leave today, you're going to go outside. Maybe before you get to your car, something is going to swoop down out of the sky or out of the ground and grab your attention. Or maybe you'll get to your car. You'll have the radio on. Something on the radio will grab your attention. A billboard will grab your attention. The person you're with may grab your attention. And so something is going to grab your attention. So I want you to be aware that you, as the creator that you are, have the power to pull your attention back. You don't have to go with what's grabbing at your attention. Because what that means, you see, if something grabs your attention, if it grabs your attention, say, before you get home today, if it grabs your attention, what that means is likely that's happening every single day. And what's happening, if that happens every single day, it means you are not directing your attention. It means you're not in charge of your attention. If somebody said, well, who's the boss of you? You'd have to say, I don't know, but it's not me. It's something else grabbing my attention. So you want to be the boss of you. You want to be the one in charge of you because things are grabbing at your attention all the time. You want to be a master. Say that with me. I am a master of my attention. I think that's absolutely right. You are the master of your attention, and so now you want to translate it into your practice. In the Bible, in the first book of the Bible, in the first chapter of the Bible, maybe the second chapter, but it's right in there in 1 or 2, it says that you have dominion over everything. So live like that. You have dominion over everything, and there's nothing you want dominion over more than your attention. Your attention. So every single day you take it back. Don't feel bad if you have to take it back 1,000 times. Because every time you take it back, you're practicing. You're practicing. It's spiritual practice. There's not a day going to come when you don't have to take your attention back from something. And so it's the practice that makes all the difference in the world. So you're taking your attention back from the world. You're taking it back from circumstances, back from the noise around you, back from the news. You're taking it back from the presidential election even. You don't want to get too caught up in that because you're taking your attention back. You don't want anyone running with your attention. Okay. And the other thing is, when you go within, we say that a lot. I'm going to go within. But sometimes when people go within, I know this from talking to people, sometimes when people go within, they find hell. Sometimes when they go within, they don't find beauty and peace and joy. They find what someone called mentation. Mentation means we have 70,000 thoughts a day, and probably 90% of them we had the day before and the day before and the day before, and they're habitual. It's called mentation. We might think we're thinking it, but we're really just caught up in mentation. It just keeps repeating, repeating, repeating. So when I encourage us to go within, I'm not saying go within and couple and attach to those old thoughts that you've had all of your life, because you're going to go within and find something beautiful. And the way you do that is with spiritual imagination. Spiritual imagination, and all of us have that. And what are we going to imagine? We are going to imagine qualities. So I set my intention to place my attention on a quality of God, like love. I'm going to focus on love. I'm not going to focus on this. It doesn't feel good. I'm going to focus on love. Now, I'm not going to focus on, I ain't got no love. I need me some love. I need me some love really bad. I'm not going to sing the blues. I'm going to say instead, I am love. Man, it's just bubbling inside of me. It's bubbling out of me. And whoever bumps into me today, they are lucky, because they're going to be listened to. They're going to be loved. They're going to be blessed. Or it may be peace. You may choose peace. You're not going to say, man, I ain't got no peace. I've got so much anxiety. I got to go find somebody to give me some peace. I got to smoke something. I got to take something. I got to drink something to get me some peace. But peace isn't like that. You are peace. So you begin to focus on the fact that you have peace inside of you. That's who you are. And you begin to spread that peace out everywhere you go. Creativity. You are creativity. You are, and you can mention all the qualities of God, all the attributes of God. So when you go within, that's where you're going. You're not going within and thinking, boy, my mom sure did not diaper train me or potty train me the right way. I feel so sad thinking about it. Now kids get M&Ms and I didn't get anything. So we don't go to those old stories, you understand? We are going to those divine qualities, and that absolutely changes everything. It changes everything. And that's when we are creating. And notice it has nothing to do with the external world. I don't want to be doing something so the world is in charge of me. So if I'm going to love everyone I meet, it doesn't matter what you do to me. It doesn't matter what you say to me, because you're not the boss of me. I'm the boss of me. So I'm going to love. Same thing with peace. Same thing with joy, because it's not tied to the external. Do you understand? It's not tied to the external. Is that easy? No, but once we do it for a while, we'll begin to love it, because that means we're having peace every day. We're having love every day. We're having joy every day. It's perfect, and it's exactly what practicing the presence means in our lives. Now, I do understand that as you go through life, things are going to grab at your attention. We are exhausted sometimes because things are grabbing from the left and from the right and from the up and from the down. They're grabbing us all the time. I often imagine that I'm under the water watching fish. Do you do that? Oh, well, never mind. I don't really do that often, but I do sometimes. And so you're under the water and you're watching little fish swim around. And a hook comes down. And the fish sees the hook. And you're saying, if you're under there with the fish, don't do it. But the fish does it anyway. And it takes the hook. That's what we often do. Hook comes down, we give our attention to it, and we take the hook. But the good news is, and this may shock some of you, but you're not a fish. You're not a fish. You're made in the image and the likeness of God. And that doesn't mean you have the same hair color as God. We all know God is bald. But it means not that you resemble God, but it means you have the same faculty as God. And the faculty of God is that you can think independent of circumstances and situations. You think independent of those. You go within and you express all of that, regardless of what might be happening around you. But it must be cultivated. It must be cultivated. So you check yourself during the day. You set your clock and your watch and your computer, and it goes off in 30 minutes, and you say, what am I focused on right now? Where's my focus? You could ask, what am I? And if you say, I am love, I am peace. You see, that's beginning to bring that to mind, and that's what changes our lives. And what you're doing is building your life from within. You're building your life, you're creating your life from within, from those qualities. And that's exactly how we do it. So that means sometimes we have to drop what we've been taught so we can live with what we know. And there's a difference. And so you don't want others to choose. Somebody said, if you don't use your mind, somebody else will. And that's what happens. Sometimes we think our destiny depends on something outside of us. It doesn't. It's always inside of us. And so that means we have to prepare. We have to get ready. We have to prepare the soil. We have to get ready. Sometimes, if something good came along and slapped us in the face, we don't even know it, because we're so focused on doom or gloom or what's not working or what's not right. And so we want to begin to expect good things and be ready for the good things of life. And so that's my introduction. Now here is my conclusion. My conclusion is you planted the seed and you don't dig it up and check it out. You planted the seed of attention. The attention is going to be focused within. It's not going to be focused on old stories, but it's going to be focused on the God qualities that are within you. That's who you are. And then as you do that, a plant comes up. Now, two will emerge, but the first one that comes up is called the gift plant. Giftedness. Because as you practice this, you're dwelling deep. As you practice this, you begin to notice that you have some talent. You begin to notice that you have some gifts. you begin to notice that you have some capacities about you. That maybe when you talk to people, you encourage people. Maybe you sing, like Michael. You can play guitar. He's gifted in doing that, you see. And so he blesses people. He's using a gift. I suspect, just knowing Michael as much as I've known him, which is just this morning, I would think for sure he's planted the seed. And these gifts come out, you see. That's what will happen to you. But you have to remember the gift isn't for you. It's not for you to look in the mirror and think, man, am I gifted? But the gift you have inside of you that's coming out of you because you're plugged in is for the world. It's for the community. It's for the people. I always have believed that if I walk into a supermarket and I meet someone, maybe I haven't seen somebody in 10 years and I see them, I always feel like Spirit brought that person into my life. People are given to you. When they're given to you, you give your gifts. You give your gifts. And that means, we cultivate the gift and we bless people with the gift. It's just like the Blues Brothers, so that you can say, I'm on a mission from God. And what is my mission? My mission is to take this love and this joy and this peace that's bubbling inside of me, because I'm focused on that, and I'm just going to allow that to move out and touch the lives of other people. I'm telling you, it changes the whole world. And you may think you mean it's going to change people in Kansas? Is it Kansas? Kansas? Or is it going to change people in Japan? It may well do that, but I promise you it's going to change the world that's existing around you. It's going to change the world around you. It's an amazing thing, and all of that immensity and gifts and all of those things are going to be bubbling out. And the thing is, nobody can do it except you. I mean, you see my personality. You don't want to have one like that. You have a different kind. And so mine could touch this, but yours will touch that. And maybe yours will touch this. And all of us are different. I'm told that a rose petal, each one is unique. I don't know if that's true. I've heard that snowflakes, each one is unique. I've heard fingerprints are unique. But that uniqueness flows, unless you've sanded them off. They're unique, and that uniqueness flows through your arm and into your body and into your mind and into your soul. So when you are giving a gift, it is a unique gift. No one else can do what you can do. You are unrepeatable. You are a unique expression of who you are, and Spirit is operating through you. And so that's why you are so significant in the mind of Spirit. And so as you choose to do that, so what a waste of time to let something grab your powerful attention. And so you say, may I have my attention, please? And you bring it back so that those gifts can begin to flow. And then you become a prophet. You begin to prophesy. You wake up in the morning and you say, you're like a weatherman. You say, probability of excellence today? Great. Probability of love today? Really high. Probability of peace today? Fantastic. It's so high I don't even know how to evaluate it. And you begin to actually prophesy in that way. I used to think that I was just this little human. But I am living and moving and having my beingness in God. What a crazy, fantastic idea. That you are living and moving and having your beingness in God. Sometimes we think that we're just the product of our parents, or we're the product of a religion, or we're the product of our environment, we're the product of evolution, we're the product of our school system, we're the product of the hills of Kentucky. Maybe I'm the product of what my parents did to me when I was a little kid. No, that's not what we're going to do. We're not going to play that game. We don't want to play that game. Because when we play that game, we're not focused within it, the divine qualities. We're looking outside of us and crying. Now, crying's okay, and I'll hold your hand if you cry, and I may cry sometimes, and you can give me a hug. But that's not where we're going to dwell. Where are we going to dwell? Deep. Deep. It's a choice. And I'm not discounting suffering. I know about suffering. I'm not discounting suffering, but I want to get out of the suffering. And we can do this and get out of the suffering and get into a business of blessing people. And as we bless people, it feels so good because we're so full of those qualities. Okay, plant one. Plant two, let me cover this briefly. Plant number two, and you'll like this one. Plant number two is simply bliss. Bliss means you'll begin to walk differently. You'll begin to move across the floor without moving your feet. Do you know what I mean? You'll glide. People will say, I don't know what's up with that woman, but I love to just talk to her. I love that guy, just being around him. It almost seems like there's something radiating spiritually from that person. I love being around them. That's bliss. The bliss will begin to circulate. The bliss begins to flow around you. Shamanically, sometimes I go to the grocery store just for fun and make myself invisible and see how many people bump into me. You ever do that? It's fun. You can do that and just be invisible. And I can go in and 8 or 10 people will bump into me. And they're like, oh, excuse me, like they didn't see me. Or I could go in and I could think, I am going to be loved. I'm going to just radiate it as I walk through the grocery store. Things change. Try it. I don't want to brag. But, and don't let anybody else know this, but one thing I notice I can do with my power is when I go and get close to a grocery store, as I begin to walk in, the door just opens. I mean, how many of you have had that experience? Just a few. But the point is, you can become whatever it is you're wanting to become and express it, and people can actually feel what you are doing. They can feel it. Try the invisibility and check it out. Don't do it when you're driving. And so, one other thing I'd like to mention. One other thing I'd like to mention, and that is about need. About need. Need. Sometimes in relationships, you have to negotiate your needs. I have a need, and so I need to negotiate that. And so that's okay to do. What we want to avoid is being needy. We don't want to be needy. Because if we're needy, we're not concentrated on the seed. The seed is not dwelling deep. If the seed is deep, we're not going to be needy. And needy means, I need some love. And you begin to try to take it. You begin to try to get it from another person. I need peace. Please give it to me. I just need this. I need that. I need this. And so what I'm saying is, when we're needy, it doesn't feel good. It hurts. It hurts us. We don't feel strong. We don't feel powerful. And you are strong. You are powerful. And so here's a way to handle that needy feeling. If you become aware of a need, metaphysically, spiritually, see the need as a calling to activate that potential within you. So if I feel like, oh, I need love, I can turn into a little whimpering baby, or I could say, that's a calling telling me that I need to go within, find that love in me, allow it to grow and surface so I can give it away. Because as soon as I give it away, guess what happens? I experience the love. I make it easy. If I'm meeting with somebody somewhere in a public place and I see a woman go by with a little baby. I love little babies. I love little humans. And so I see a little human go by and I love that baby. And what do I experience? Love. Love. You could be living alone and have plants. Love that plant. And so you're not saying, I don't have any love. You're saying, I can love this plant. I can love this pet. And as we love, and so what I'm saying is, when you have a need, allow it to activate the potential within you. Because whatever it is you're longing for likely is part of your spiritual makeup anyway. And so you activate it within you. And then others are blessed and you get it as well. Is that clear? Okay, let's turn within. And as we do, let's, in a sense, let's fall in love with ourself. Not in a narcissistic way, but fall in love with the divinity within us. And realize we can share that with everyone. Realize every need is met within us. All needs are met. And as it's met, it even overflows. And realize this, that not only are we securing freedom for ourselves, but we are securing freedom for humanity, for the world, for all living things. Native Americans tell us everything is alive, everything is vibrating. And so as we express this ourselves, we affect the entire world. And so our prayer is, use me, use me, use me. And we are not going to be distracted by the noise, but we're going to turn within. Turn within. Go to those qualities. And as we do that, we go higher and higher and higher. And our lives expand in just a great way. It's like cycling upward. It's like a spiral. And so we plant the seed, we share the gift, and we share the bliss. And so it is. Amen. Thank you very much.